get Brexit done and move on to the domestic agenda.
Labour's going to vote against this again tomorrow, is that right?
I hope so, yeah.
Right. So Labour has spent about, 3 months looking at the largest open goal in history, and it's now wandered off half-time for a fag break behind the bike shed. I mean, what is going on with the opposition?
Well, as you know, Emily, I've had lots of disagreements with Jeremy Corbyn over recent years, but he's right about this. There's no reason why the Labour Party should dig the Tories out of the hole that they've dug for themselves.
Dig the Tories by getting elected?
Oh, dig the Tories... Well, look, we are 50...
I mean, isn't that the point of an election, that you actually want the leader of your party to be in power?
Yes,
right.
Ordinarily, that's absolutely true. However, this would be the first time, I think, in history when a party had come from where we currently are, 15 or 16 points in some of the polls behind, and therefore anybody rational looking at the polls, well, anybody rational looking at the polls can see that there is a likely scenario here, which is you help Boris Johnson get a majority, and worse, then use that majority to force through either a no-deal Brexit or a really hard Brexit. That's the reality, and everybody...
If he gets a majority, that's because he has been voted into power by the United Kingdom.
And we could end up, therefore, potentially, with parties that are in favour of Remain and putting back to the public, which is what we ought to do, the Brexit decision, in order to give the chance to the country to row back from what I believe to be an historic mistake. You could end up with more than 50% of the people voting for those parties.
But I'm just trying...
But Boris Johnson winning 30%
how we do things, Owen.
party...
It's how we do things. It's how we understand what the public wants. That's how democracy works.
Or through referendums, Emily, as we did a couple of years ago. So there's nothing stopping us doing the right thing, which is ending this process as we began it with a referendum.
So
a general
we don't
election,
believe in parliamentary democracy anymore. I mean, I don't understand
a general
what you're
election
saying,
is going to confuse these issues, whereas the clean and straightforward way to resolve the unresolved
question... Why wouldn't a Labour
question...
MP want to have a Labour Prime Minister? Are you actually saying it's very obvious to you and your colleagues that Jeremy Corbyn can't possibly win? Is that basically what you're saying?
But it's a fundamental risk that we go into an election delivering Boris Johnson and the hard right of the Tory party with the majority and the ability,
so you just leave him
therefore,
there. So you leave him there.
Therefore, to put no. What we do is what we've done successfully so far, which is use Parliament and use our power within Parliament in order to prevent Boris Johnson, that hard right wing of the Tory party, pushing Britain either towards the hard Brexit they favour or worse still,
does this feel like a
no
success
deal.
At the moment? Does it feel like you've successfully
Well, we're still
done
in
anything?
the European Union, whereas we were meant to have left in March, we were meant to be leaving on Thursday. We're not going to be leaving the European Union. We're still going to be in it at the end of January. And therefore, we've still got an opportunity either to get the country to accept some version of Brexit, or to do what I think the country would do if they were given the opportunity to look again at this Brexit question, now that we know it's not going to mean all this extra money for the NHS, now that we know we've wasted
You're saying look
£2
again
billion
at the Brexit question.
Yellowhammer.
You're not mentioning the People's Vote campaign, which appears to have imploded as of this weekend.
Well, one of the reasons that may have happened, and it does look to be a bit of a mess, I totally agree, is some of the parties that have been united with people like me fighting for that People's Vote, the SNP and the Lib Dems, seem to have abandoned it in recent days and, along with the Tories, put their own self-interest, the fact that they think they're going to win a few extra seats, perhaps from Labour, some from the Tories, at a forthcoming election, ahead of where they've been standing alongside us in favour of a People's Vote. And I think that, frankly, they need to answer the question why it is they've abandoned People's Vote at the very point that we might have been coming close to forcing
let me ask Ollie
the Tories to accept
the first
it.
question, Ollie Grenda, because you just...